Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to ask first order question, question 143/2015, under my name, to the Attorney General, Minister of Finance, Public Enterprise, Public Service and Communication. Can the Minister inform the House whether there is a black economy and how extensive is it in Fiji? Thank you.
Thank you. The Attorney General and Minister for Finance, Public Enterprises, Public Service and Communications. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to thank the Honourable Patel for asking this question. Apart from the fact that he's a member of the Public Accounts Committee, he's also a businessman. It's good that it's a question like that coming from him. Madam Speaker, there was a study carried out by World Bank that reviewed the period between 1999 and 2007 of about 162 economies in the world. And that report was subsequently published through the World Bank and also the International Economic Journal, in which that report highlighted, specifically to Fiji, that 32.4% of the official GDP between 1999 and 2000 was not accounted for. In other words, put simply, that about $2.8 billion in Fiji was not part of the official economy. So we have a huge problem in respect of the black economy that exists in conjunction with the official economy. That also translates, Madam Speaker, into approximately, as extrapolated by FIRCA, that about $716.2 million has not been collected through tax revenue. In other words, we've lost tax revenue either through direct or indirect taxes of about $716.2 million. So, Madam Speaker, the black economy is there. That's the level of extensiveness within the economy itself. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Could the Minister please explain what plans he has in place to improve this situation?
Thank you. Honourable Rona Eden. Honourable Speaker.
Madam Speaker, some of the measures have already been implemented in respect of ensuring there is greater compliance. So since 2007, a number of laws have been introduced, for example, where the fines that were imposed have in fact been increased. Directors of companies are now being personally liable. I also like to inform the House, just last year, a businessman from Nassori was sent to prison for 4 years for falsifying VAT documents. Madam Speaker, for those people who understand taxation, I'll give you an example. We have, for example, certain items that are VAT exempt. About 6 or 7 items that are VAT exempt. What actually happens, in particular, through supermarkets and grocery stores, because the way that the VAT system works is VAT in, VAT out, and then you have refunds, is that people falsify documents, create false invoices to show, in particular, where you have VAT exempt items, they've used more of it or sold more of it. In other words, there's the ability to get more exemptions on it. So that, Madam Speaker, does happen. And in this particular case, we had people who were, this gentleman was caught doing that. Now, the other measures that we've obviously undertaken is that we now have, for example, declaration of assets by politicians. We have declaration of assets by political parties, because this is where a lot of money was laundered. It also goes to ensure greater compliance. The new Companies Act now also requires a certain level of declaration by companies when they file the annual return. Now, prior to this Act, which will come into force very soon, we simply just file annual returns, ensure your directors, secretaries, etc., and that was it, and mortgages, etc., registered, but not in terms of your revenue base. So this will actually ensure greater compliance. You can verify documents with the Companies Office, what documentation has been lodged with FIRCA, so there's ability to cross-check. Of course, one of the measures that also, or some of the measures that can be implemented is the simplification of regulations, simplification of the tax laws. having a lot more transparency in the decision-making processes. Because if these are transparent, then the taxpayer will say, well, we might as well just comply with it, it's quite simple. Let's not hire an accountant to cook the books, because the tax rates are much lower, so there's no point doing that. You have, Madam Speaker, I am finding quite baffling as to why they are objecting to that. I thought that would be in their interest to collect more tax for the country. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, you may have heard the Minister for Transport just announced yesterday afternoon, Madam Speaker, the deregulation.
Order. Please maintain decorum.
The honourable member does not have the capacity to understand taxation, Madam Speaker. Absolutely no capacity. Absolutely none whatsoever. The House is a lot better without him yesterday. A lot better without him yesterday. Madam Speaker.
Point of order.
Sit down.
Could I ask the honourable...
Standing orders, 64.
One moment, please, order. Could I ask the honourable member that said rubbish, please withdraw that word? It is unparliamentary.
Madam Speaker, that is an official word that you accepted here. Remember. Remember.
I am giving my ruling, please withdraw
Remember,
the word.
Madam, when I asked him to withdraw rubbish, that day you said no.
Please
but you
withdraw
told
the
me
word
to
rubbish.
withdraw what I said. That is
For the last time, please withdraw the word rubbish.
withdraw.
Thank you. You may continue, Honourable Mbulitavu.
Madam, time and again, you've allowed the Honourable Attorney General to take this Parliament for a ride.
Your question, please.
Madam, you are the referee in this House.
Yes, I am
he
the
should be relevant in his answers. We're talking about a black economy. He's jumping here and there, talking about
Your
corruption.
question,
What
please.
comes under the scope of the government is talking about outside the black area, black markets. We talk about that, those dealings and activities. Be relevant.
Honourable Minister, would you like to respond to that comment?
Madam Speaker, I feel for the other side, Madam Speaker, because they're actually missing the point. The supplementary question was by Honourable Lorna Eden, what measures are you going to take, what measures are you taking to address the black economy? Address the black economy. And these...
Honourable Minister, please continue.
Madam Speaker, and I was addressing that issue. So, for example, Madam Speaker, and as I was explaining, what measures are we taking? To give you a simple example, the Minister for Transport just announced yesterday that the rental car business, for example, is going to be deregulated. Why is that being done is simply for this reason. There are many people, for example, who may want to start renting out cars. Prior to the Minister not doing so, you actually had to get permission from LTA to start up a rental car business. Forget the roadworthiness issue of the vehicle, you actually had to get their permission. You also had to get a permission if you had already an existing rental car business, you want to add more vehicles. The report from the World Bank states that when you have over-regulation, it lets people slip under the black economy. So a person who may actually have made some money, he may have gone overseas to work, comes back and believes that there's a market in his area, that he wants to start up a 2-3 car rental car company. He simply should be able to go and pay his business license, register the vehicles and start his rental car business. When he is not allowed to do that, it goes under the black economy because he starts doing it illegally. It does not get reported in our taxation system. So these are some of the measures and some of the mitigating measures being put in place to stop the black economy. We have, for example, Madam Speaker, as you may have heard, we've asked Fijians, a lot of them have moved money offshore. So we have given them amnesty to be able to declare those assets without any penalties, so then they can start paying tax on those properties or any income derived from those properties offshore from the following year. So this is what we are doing, is trying to enlarge the net. So we have a greater taxation system, captures more people, deregulate the system. We have transfer pricing, Madam Speaker. That's precisely what Fiji Water was doing. Fiji Water, which is one of the niche mineral waters that's being sold throughout the world, including in USA, Natural Waters of VT Limited was selling its water to a related company in America. A carton of water was being sold for $4, when a bottle of water does not even retail for that much. So Madam Speaker, what the government has done is that it has included a mineral resource tax on water extraction. It has now included a transfer pricing indexing where Natural Waters VT Limited pays an additional amount to ensure that there is an arm's length. There are supermarkets, Madam Speaker, dates back decades now, who are buying houses offshore in New Zealand and various other places. So supermarket may actually buy tinned tomatoes, for example, from China, but it does not come directly to Fiji. The buying house in New Zealand will buy it probably for 20 cents a can. And then the buying house in New Zealand sells it to Fiji probably for $1.50 a can, and then they'll show a 20-cent markup. So we have now captured all those areas and putting in measures to make sure that these types of things are addressed. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Point of order. Honorable Multavo.
Madam, I forgot my point of order, but I just, I know, Madam, I hate, Madam, I don't
Thank
like.
you. The point of order has been
Point of
forgotten. Supplementary questions. I give the floor to the Honorable Biman Prasad.
Just,
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think this is a very important subject, and I think it was a very important question to the Honourable Minister of Finance. And I think he's right when he says that black economy is a concern, and I agree with that. Can I just ask him, Madam Speaker, through you, whether the Minister is planning to look at, within the black economy, I think there is a lot of unexplained wealth that people have. And perhaps, you know, we need to probably do a study to actually understand within the black economy how much unexplained wealth still exists. And I think that could provide a very good indicator to the FERCA for us to be able to assess and understand and perhaps deal with that. So I'd like the Minister to respond to that.
Thank you. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. That's precisely the point. For example, the non-declaration of assets that sit offshore. We're trying to bring that within the taxation regime. So that will help everybody to ensure, to know exactly how much money is there in Fiji, how much of it has fallen outside GDP. Obviously, there needs to be greater compliance. And these are some of the steps that we're taking, as I said, through the taxation laws, in terms of imposing fines. And of course, within FERCA itself, there needs to be special audit teams that are now going out and in fact targeting specific individuals and companies as to how perhaps they have unexplained wealth. Of course, the prevention of bribery promulgation, Madam Speaker, I understand from memory Section 10 also imposes, there's a particular law that says that civil servants also must explain unexplained wealth. And the burden of proof is on them. So these are the kind of measures that are being taken.
Thank you. And I'll give the floor to the Honorable Semesa Karabaki.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to thank the Honourable Attorney General for the explanation this morning. I think this is a very important, Madam Speaker, very important issue, especially for the growing of the economy of this country. Whether the Honourable Minister can explain whether there exist in the government where a particular, where ministers are receiving salaries that are more than what is officially recorded. Because, Madam Speaker, I would understand that the difference that is not recorded would fall into the black economy. And I would like to ask the Honourable Attorney General and Minister of Finance if you could explain whether that does exist in the government or not. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I give the floor to the Honourable Attorney General.
Madam Speaker, the payment of salaries to His Excellency the President, to you, Madam Speaker, to the Prime Minister, the Leader of Opposition, Ministers, Assistant Ministers, members of this House, is actually governed by the law that currently exists, which the Leader of the House yesterday said would be within that ambit, reviewed by the Parliamentary Emoluments Committee. That's what governs it, which of course Honourable Bulitavu had seconded.
Thank you. I now give the floor to the Honourable William Ngaboko.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, just a bit of background. When I read this question, black money, to me sounded like the black hand, underworld, the mafia. And indeed, Madam Speaker, there are people in Fiji who believe that we are targeting the wrong people with black money. There are other people who are coming through the system with our border control being so lax. There are people in this country who are part of this black economy. The question from our side, Madam Speaker, is that we believe we are targeting the wrong people. What are we doing about protecting our borders to ensure that those who indulge, who engage in underworld activities, are the ones that are targeted to clean that black money that they have, Madam Speaker?
Thank you. Honourable Attorney General.
Madam Speaker, there's a difference between black economy and specifically money laundering. Money laundering, Madam Speaker, generally comes from illegal or criminal activity. In the same way one can argue, and generally when we talk about money laundering, we talk about drug money, we talk about criminal activities, we'll talk about ill-gotten gains. But this part of the underworld or black economy, then how do you clean it? So you clean it by way of putting that money through some legitimate business. So a lot of people, like for example overseas, the study will tell you, I'm quite happy to give this study to the members of the opposition, they may start up a, say, laundry business or start up a nightclub business where there's a lot of heavy cash involvement. You know, people go and drink there, so they can show a higher revenue of sales, but in fact it's not actual sales per se, but it's the dirty money that they're cleaning through the system. Now that's how you clean it. Black economy, Madam Speaker, is about the activity, sometimes like I gave the rental car activity, a gentleman who may want to start his two or three car rental car company, he is actually not paying taxes, or she is not paying STT, because it's too hard for them to go and get a license, or somebody won't give them the approval. So they start this, what is technically an illegal business. So that money does not hit the official books. That's the difference. I completely agree with the Honourable Member that Fiji has, over the number of decades, had issues at the border in terms of under-declaration. So normally a lot of business houses, for example, if they import some goods, they'll under-declare the value of the goods. So if it's worth $5 million, they'll put $1 million. So the duty on that will be charged at only $1 million. With the view that if we get caught, we'll just go to FERCA and say, okay, if you're saying it's for another 4, we'll just pay duty in the 4. But now, it's not just simply a question of paying duty on the balance, you actually get a penalty imposed on you for making a false declaration. They're the kinds of steps that have been taken, and I completely agree we need to even tighten up even further at the border in terms of the declaration of assets.
Thank you. And I will now give the last supplementary question to the Honourable Niko Noekula.
Madam Speaker, I wish to raise a point of order first.
Oh, point of order.
Point of order, then followed by question.
No, just one. Which one will you have, point of order or question?
No. I'm being given the question, but I'm entitled to make a point of order at any time.
Let's have your point of order first.
Yes. Madam Speaker, the purpose of democracy or the government is for your side to be accountable to us and the people, not you being accountable to yourself. And we have the practice here, an Honourable Minister asking him, then followed up by the another, to give him an opportunity to make a statement. Dorothy Dix kind of stuff. No, the court should, Madam Speaker, no, I ask you to make a ruling and to be aware, to take note of that. Because for too long, we have all this. Yesterday, nearly all the questions were Dorothy Dix kind of question from that side. So, I'm asking you, Madam Speaker, to make a ruling on that. That should be enough. We don't need that. You should be accountable to us and to the people, not to yourself.
Does not prohibit the asking of questions from this side as well. The learned member should read the standing orders.
Thank you. The purpose of questions,
Yeah.
is to enable the Parliament to clarify issues that may not be too clear, on issues that the government finds that they need qualification on. And that has been done, and questions, some of the questions are open to both the government and opposition members.
Yeah, but that's a ministerial question.
And I thank...
It's a ministerial statement.
Thank you.
But it's being abused.
Will you have your supplementary question now?
Yeah.
Please, your question.
Madam Speaker, my supplementary question, thank you. 2.8 billion is a lot of money. We agree. 716.2 uncollected is a lot of money. But you have concentrated on the white collar. And you've only explained to us what you will do from here on. Could you explain to us what have you done for the last 8 years, limiting yourself to the social aspects? The marijuana is increasing. The black market alcohol has never been reduced. They're still selling from many, many years ago. And prostitution. What have you done in the last 8 years? And what have you done to address this?
Thank you. I give the floor to the Honourable Attorney General.
Madam Speaker, I think the Honourable Member is not listening as to what I've said previously. The Honourable Hon Aiyaz did ask me what measures have been taken, what measures will be taken, and I've highlighted a whole plethora of measures we've taken. He needs to listen more.
Thank you.